Hey there guys, my name is Brandon from Gearist.com and welcome to this episode of Ask Gearist. Before we get into today's question, don't forget that if you've got a question for us, you can always leave it in the comments section right down below, whatever it's about. Skiing, hiking, running, biking, whatever it is, let us know. You can also do it by emailing info@gearist.com, or feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching for Gearist. Now for today's question, which comes to us from, and I'm assuming I'm pronouncing this correctly, Perdomot. And Perdomot says, I'm a heavier runner and am wondering how much cushioning I should be looking for in a running shoe. I run on roads and want to protect my legs, but I like a light shoe. Any suggestions? This is a really great question, and I'm really glad that it got asked. Now, intuitively, you would think that somebody who weighs more should want a shoe with more cushioning, but this is not the case, and here's why. The first reason is that oftentimes cushioning tends to deaden your ground feel, and second only to your lips and fingers, the bottoms of your feet have the most nerve endings in your entire body. So, in order for your balance to be proper, your stability to be aligned proper on top of your feet, you need to be able to feel what's going on. So if you deaden that with a bunch of foam or excess cushioning, you're not going to be able to address these things biomechanically or instinctively. Believe it or not, your body really has a great idea of what's going on with it at pretty much all times. What many people think happen is that cushion is going to be effective at the point of impact, whether you're landing at the midfoot or you're landing on the heel, but this is not necessarily the case. It's almost always the case that the most amount of load that is placed upon anybody's foot, whether that's a light, super light runner or a heavy runner or kind of a somewhere in between runner, the most amount of weight that is going to be on your foot is at mid stance, when your foot looks like this. It's at this point that your body has reached the apex of its force kind of introduction. This is where the most amount of force is pushing down on your foot, and you're about to make the changeover into that elastic energy pushing you off of the foot. This is when your body needs to know exactly what's going on the most. Now, even with the amazing advances that have been made in different types of foam or gel or air or what have you, the fact is that all of these materials, when under the foot, can load at different times and become imbalanced. They will put the runner out of balance. In a heavier runner or someone that's really susceptible to osteoarthritis, this is a point where your knee and everything up the kinetic chain from the bottom of your foot is going to be the most at risk. This is the point where you need to make sure that the cushioning under your foot doesn't deaden your sense of ground feel, because this is when everything tends to go off the rails. If the foam tracks unevenly toward the inside, you're going to pronate hardcore from the foot. That's going to run up the kinetic chain. However, if you can sense the ground, the likelihood is that you'll engage that first metatarsal head or the ball of your foot even more, keeping yourself more stable and more in touch with what the ground is doing. Now, more to Perdomot's question about shoe suggestions. To be very honest, it's not going to be any different than I would say to an ultra light runner. My suggestion is to really find what works best for you. Make sure that it is not overly cushioned. In fact, I would stick with something that is light. Now, is there going to be a transition period where your body has to get used to this? Sure, especially if you're coming out of something that's hyper cushioned. Anytime you're taking your body from one extreme to another, you have to make sure that the musculature and the connective tissues in that part of your body are getting used to it. For instance, when you're coming out of a shoe or something like that that's hyper cushioned into something that is a little bit more minimal or a lot more minimal, the most amount of transition time is going to be focused on your feet. Yes, your body is still going to be reacting to it just fine, but your feet are probably going to be sore because they will have been weakened by something like that. This is especially true if you've been wearing an unnecessary orthotic for a long time. Now, I'm not a doctor, nor am I questioning people putting orthotics in their shoes. However, I will say that an orthotic is effectively a single-sided cast. Now, if you think about it like that, let's say you break your arm or your leg, that cast is on for maybe 6 to 8 weeks until it fixes the problem that it was initially put in to address. Now, in the case of an orthotic, people tend to put these in and wear them for years or decades even. In this case, what happens, just like your broken arm or broken leg, you wind up with muscle atrophy. This is where your muscles become weakened to the point of almost unusability. Now, in this case, your feet have to come back from that. They have to build up their strength. It's no different. This is what takes the most amount of time, and this is where you're going to have to concentrate the most and really stick with it. But again, I feel like the biomechanic feedback and the instinctive running that you're going to be able to sense and your body is going to take care of by having less cushion underneath your foot is going to turn around and provide huge benefits. So the moral of this whole entire thing is that regardless of your weight, you want to make sure that you're in a shoe that's comfortable for you. If that means you need a lot of cushioning, fine. However, don't think that just because you're heavier, you need more cushioning. That is not true. Now, before you go taking my word for all of this, please feel free to click the link down below in the description. This is a link to the Natural Running Center article by Casey Kerrigan. She's a well-respected doctor, and she talks specifically about this question. It's a really great article for you guys to be able to read and check out, and let us know what you think in the comments section below. Now, while I didn't make any shoe suggestions per se, I really hope that that answered your question. I'm certainly happy to make suggestions of individual shoes, and you can always read our reviews by going to Gearist.com, where you can see what we thought of individual shoes. But in this case, there isn't like a specific type of shoe that I would say, go with this or go with that. If I had to say anything, it would be to steer away from more cushioning and get into something that's going to address biomechanic needs before comfort needs. Because at the end of the day, if you address those biomechanic needs and get the musculature all set up the proper way, then comfort will be a nice byproduct of that. Now, before you go taking my word for all of this, please feel free to click the link down below in the description. This is a link to the Natural Running Center article by Casey Kerrigan. She's a well-respected doctor, and she talks specifically about this question. It's a really great article for you guys to be able to read and check out, and let us know what you think in the comments section below.